Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth. Loving movies can be a bit of a juggling act. On the one hand, you want to sit down in the dark, let the light of the screen and the sounds fill your senses, and leave reality for a bit. You want to be immersed. On the other hand, sometimes, if you love film, that also means loving film making. All the while that you're being taken away by the magic in front of you, you ask yourself, how did they do that? There are so many people behind the scenes that we don't see, and we can have a tendency to put all the emphasis on the people that we do see, actors, directors. But not everything is as simple as what our eyes see. Today, I'm talking with Luisa Guerreiro. She's an actor, puppeteer, and movement artist that has worked on stage and screen, as well as in video game production, and honestly, there's not a lot that she hasn't done, as you'll hear us talk about shortly. Luisa is the performer behind the suit in the latest film from Macon Blair, The Toxic Avenger. When I heard that the performance of Toxie was going to be a two-handed job, and that Luisa would be the one on camera, but we still can't see her, I immediately knew that I wanted to speak with her. She was incredibly gracious in giving us her time. Also, shout out to our good friend Giselle, who had to sit there and listen to the two of us yap on during this interview. Thanks, Giselle. Here in the States, The Toxic Avenger is now in theaters, and if the film itself isn't a good enough reason for you to get to the cinema to see it, they are partnering with the nonprofit organization Undo Medical Debt to use your ticket money to help erase medical debt for those in need. Take note, Superman. Here's my interview with Luisa Guerreiro. I hope you enjoy it.
I agree. You know, I very firmly agree with our good friend Shakespeare. You know, what's really in a name? What difference does it make? But at the same time,
you still answer to boy.
Yeah. Well, Luisa, thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited that we were able to make this work. Here on our show, we have a real love for practical effects. In fact, one of the things that we actually will rate a film on is if the film contains something tangible, and that goes for choreography, practical effects, stop motion, anything like that. And so,
yeah,
being able to talk to you is a real treat. So yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you very much for joining me.
Not a problem. It's I also am a huge fan of practical effects.
Before we get to Toxie and the Toxic Avenger, I wanted to ask you how you started performing. Like, at what point in your life did you know that you wanted to do this?
I knew very early on. My mother, who's very Mediterranean, I speak about sometimes, and I shouldn't because it just gives her airtime. She would say that it was showing off.
Okay.
But as a child, I just loved drama. Is such a weird word to say. I loved drama. I loved performing. I loved making people laugh. I loved impersonating. I have a very eclectic family and friends of family who all had different accents and different cultural heritages, and teachers you could impersonate. And I found that people really loved it when you made them feel entertained. My mum always called it showing off, and so it was never really seen as a real work aspiration. So it was always one of those things where it was like, well, yes, you like drama, but you can't do it as a job. So do it as a hobby, and you can like be a plumber because everyone needs a plumber.
Sure.
I was like, great, I don't want to be a plumber. She's like, you're short, you'll fit under the sink. It's amazing. It's perfect made for you. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a plumber. I'd love to know how to plumb, but there's a different thing altogether. So I think when I got to secondary school, it was in school plays. There was a teacher I met, she was called Miss McDonald, and she said to me, when you go to university, if you go to university, you want to study something you're passionate about. And I did go for an interview at Cambridge because I was jammy and they thought I was bright. I was going to study law. And the person who was there asked me a question. It was at that point I realised, one, I'm too honest probably to do law, and two, I probably wasn't going to enjoy doing that for 3 years because all I wanted to do was join the social groups that did the drama.
Right.
And they asked me, if you knew someone was guilty, like, what would you do as part of your professional duty, you know, to basically to be that person's defense. And I was like, oh, I think I might just do a lackluster job because I would still be doing my job. I just wouldn't put any effort into it. So I
Right.
get paid because I've done the service. And they were like, yeah, no. Um, so I think I always knew I wanted to be it. And then I just made the decision to disappoint my mum completely and just say, I'm going to do what I want to do vocationally because you only live once, and
That's right.
study drama and the rest is history.
That's right. That's right. You would
Yeah.
think that, acting and being a lawyer would go hand in hand, but
I mean, there's a certain element, but it was the 3 year study with books that are
right,
like,
right.
I don't know whether they're weapons or doorstops.
Sure.
Either way.
So we're here talking about Toxic Avenger, and this is a film that I've been waiting for personally for quite a while. And back in July at the San Diego Comic-Con, Peter Dinklage, he's on the red carpet and he explains, "Hey, look, this is not me for most of the screen time." And he explains how you guys had time prior to filming to work together and to work out, I suppose, how he would perform were he doing the suit.
Yeah.
So can you explain kind of your time together, how that worked?
I always say our time started at the audition process. I did my audition, asked for a second tape. I did that. It's very normal in our work to do that. I did 2 takes, one with which I would call my naturalistic take, my screen take, which I would do as an actor. And then I did a second take with how I would move my body and my face if I were in a costume suit, if I were in the full prosthetics, because you need to adapt that to the prosthetic for it to kind of come through. You have to, like, what I call dial up the volume on your movement.
Sure.
But to make it truthful, you also have to know how much to dial it up. So I did 2 of those. And then I had a talk with Macon. He was like, so I'm just going to have a chat with you if you don't mind. Can we schedule that in and we'll have another actor on board to talk with you? And I got on and it was Peter Dinklage. And I was like, basically they were asking me, I was like dressed in a bath towel because I was doing a student film. I was just like, oh, for goodness sake. I was like, okay. And just trying to address how they thought I would take on this role. And I knew at that point my responsibility and the way I was going to work it was I need to be invisible. Luisa Guerreiro cannot do what Luisa Guerreiro would do with the choices she would make as the actress that she is.
Yeah.
I need to basically work with, I can't believe I'm saying this, I had to work with Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
And he's such a great actor, and I've followed his career like sporadically. You can't help but see him in things.
Yeah.
I always thought he was great. And then you're like, oh gosh, I have to be at a level of Peter Dinklage. It's very, very humbling to be there and have someone think that you are, which is great because, I always say I'm an actor first and then a puppeteer and mover second. But it depends what work you're doing at that time. And we basically sat down and I said, look, my job would be to take on your choices and then to know you so well that I'm almost channeling Peter Dinklage being Winston turning into Toxie.
Right.
And then when you're filming, there's no point just regurgitating or completely copying what you've learnt by rote, as it were, from a film's rehearsal. It just wouldn't work because you've got other amazing actors who are giving their all and also acting in the moment. You can't just replicate something you've rehearsed. It wouldn't make sense, and it would look like the old-fashioned thing of people just going, just wait until I get to my line.
Right.
And I'll say it the way I would like to say it, regardless of what you're giving me. And it's just not truthful. So it's kind of like you have to know that character so well that if you were undercover pretending to be them in their face, no one would get that it wasn't them, because you would be acting as Peter Dinklage being Winston Goose with the choices he put in, who's then turned into Toxie.
Right.
So it was a challenge and I enjoyed it massively. It was learning how to walk, knowing where his energy is. Peter's energy is a lot calmer than mine. I'm very skittish. I'm very what I call marmoset, all over the place a lot of the time. That's me. I enjoy it. It's that kind of fizzy energy. He's very calm. He moves really well. He is really good at. He wielded the mop, so I could figure out how he would take that movement into the mop if he was making an attack, because it's very different to how I would do it as a combatant. So everything was looking at him, and he was a gracious. I was going to say subject, and was like, that sounds weird. He was a gracious co-actor in this. It really was both of us coming together to make what Toxie would be, because I wouldn't be able to do what I did with Toxie without Peter infusing his choices onto Winston. And Winston was such a complex, insecure character who then evolves and grows. You know, he's someone that fears a little bit of life sometimes and is a bit despondent because of the cards he's been dealt. But it was really lovely to see how he has these connections with his son and with other people that suddenly become, they blossom in ways you wouldn't, like you'd expect. It's really hard to say. In our lives, we might think we're going to go somewhere with a certain relationship.
Right.
And then
right.
it doesn't. You get destroyed, but it goes in a different direction because of what you've gone through together. And yeah, that was something that me and Peter worked on to get the movement, to get the energy, to get the emphasis of how he talks. Very different to me. I spoke in an accent at times just to help other actors get in there in the moment, so it wasn't completely detracted by what they're physically getting on set.
Right.
And it was a recipe. It was a smorgasbord of trying to get everything together, and creating together, creating like the original Troma films were, where it felt like, you know, as Macon said, it was anyone could have made them. Everyone could have just got a camera out and made this wonderful piece of work that was gory and black in humor. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm not a big smoke blower. You know, I don't feel the need to pump people up unnecessarily. But what I will say is, on everything that you just said, watching the film for the first time, knowing that this is you in the suit, knowing that we're dubbing in lines, I was blown away by how well, you know, dubbing has a, let's say, not always illustrious history in film. There are times where
that was super diplomatic. I liked that.
Well, you know, if you go to like the Giallo of the 70s from Italy, it literally like takes you out of the film of like, oh my God, like what is happening here? I actually just watched a film in theaters that I actually enjoyed, but there are a few moments where you can clearly tell, you know, the actor turns away, something is dubbed in, and it just doesn't match up. And for this film, as I'm watching it, and I'm specifically watching it to talk to you about this performance, I was like, how did they do this so well? So anyway, I'm not trying to blow smoke your way.
Well,
but
that makes me feel great. I said to my partner, I said, because it was very surprising when they mentioned I was in the suit. I had every expectation that I had done my job and my job would have been done super well. I said to my partner, I said, look, if no one gets that it's me in the suit, if no one questions, oh, is that Peter? I don't know. If no one does that, I will be ecstatic because it will have meant that I've done my job well. So when they mentioned it, I wasn't prepared. I was like, oh, okay, they're telling people. Okay, that's lovely for me. But wow, okay. So as long as I kind of wanted to see if people would watch it and if they completely were absorbed and didn't question it, that's the best thing that could have happened for me. Yeah. Just to have people completely go, no, she isn't. No, it's Peter. It's Peter in there. That's what I want. I want if people do that.
Right. Luisa, you're in my head because that was literally my next question is you go off and you make this film. And I think sometimes for people who aren't thinking about movies all the time, you don't realize how long the process can be. And, you know, by the time it's time for an actor to sit down with someone like me and we're asking you, what was it like? You're like, hey, that was like 3 years ago. I
have 2 children now.
Yeah, right. But for you, all this time has passed. And for everyone, I can't imagine, you know, waiting all this time for the film to get a theatrical release. And then you see this interview with Peter. You're just like, how are you taking that?
I'm flattered and so grateful that one, it was a joyous experience working with him, but 2, that he was so complimentary, which coming from a Mediterranean background, I'm not used to compliments. But it was very nice to it was I hate the word nice. It was very nice. It was nice. It was lovely. It was super supportive. It was encouraging. It was emboldening. It was just really lovely to have professionals who I admire basically singing my praises, because they didn't have to. They could have said, Oh yeah, Louisa was in the suit. She's a great movement professional. She did her work really well. Loved enjoying with her. Really loved working with her. But they really have gone above and beyond and sung my praises and said things that I'm super pleased about. But yeah, the very British part of me is like, oh, don't say that. It's too much praise. And the other part of me that was severely like lacking any praise as a child is like, give me, give
Right,
me.
right, right,
The
right,
self-esteem button needs it.
right.
But yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been a dream. It's been wonderful, and such a great role to do. Like I'm in Bulgaria, having drinks with people who I've watched on screen, and Macon, who I'd recently watched, like I don't feel at home anymore, and made me laugh out loud that whole film. It's just black comedy is one of the things I really enjoy as well. But it's just all those things together, and then to have these wonderful accolades come your way. I think it's kind of what you want as a performer. You want to do your job, but you want people to have enjoyed one working with you and two
Right.
enjoyed the product that you all work together to make.
Right. Yeah, it's so tough. You've spoken a lot about, truth in the short time that we've been speaking. And as a performer, you have to be able to completely cut off and say, I can't be performing for other people, while at the same time acknowledging it is a performance for other people.
It's that
You have to be true
contradiction,
to yourself, right? While also this is actually for other. It's an interesting line that exists that I think can tear people apart, honestly, finding that balance. Anyway, you're coming into this new Toxic Avenger, and you're not only playing a role as an actor that people are well acquainted with, but you're walking into a character that, at least for cult film fans, is a very iconic character, which is Toxie. Now, I'm not going to be stupid and ask you if it was tough for you to take that on, because, if someone offers you a job and they're going to pay you for it,
Yep.
Oh, it was so hard to get paid to do the thing that I've dreamt of doing,
It's that thing. I think one of the biggest bonuses, obviously, was getting paid. But my mum, when she phones, her opening gambit is always not "How are you?" It's "Are you working?"
Right. Right.
So I got to go yes.
Yes.
And then her second question is always, "Oh, is it paid?" I'm like, "Yes." So it was a double whammy, and I was immediately on cloud nine.
Right.
But
Well, you know what, though? I think sometimes for parents, that is asking how you are. It's just not in
But
the way
also
that we wish they would.
I'm pretty gung ho. So when they told me what it was, I was like, "Speak no further." Like,
Right.
I'm in. I'm in. You're gonna put me in a suit with a mechanic eye, and I get to fight people with a mop. I'm in. And there's blood and there's gore. Yeah, I'm in.
Right.
Like, it's gonna be really hot. I'm in.
So in terms of, the heat, the hotness, and the suit, how long of a process was it for you to get into this? Now, you may correct me. You're the expert. I'm calling it a suit. Is that the correct terminology?
It's the suit. It's a new body, shall we say?
Sure.
It was put on in various parts. So first they'd start with the head, and the head went on in three parts. So you'd have the head, and then another section here, and the neck went over the third section here, and then they'd all get gelled together, and then you'd put your arms on. You'd have your torso on first, then the head, then the arms, then the body, the actual legs. So it was a process, but all in all, it took about 4 hours. So 4 hours of prosthetics and about 4 or 5 people working as a team to, one, get it on, and then two, to add the detail to paint, because you had to paint every day to make it look fresh, and then continuity wise, a different thing altogether. So
Sure.
it really was an amazing, like, I would say effort, but it was amazing. It wasn't effort, but it was just this creation that happened every day when we were filming. And people came together in the SFX team. Millennium were amazing, Millennium FX, and they just adapted it, sculpted it, made sure that parts were made for the next day. Certain bits you reused maybe once, but then they'd be thrown away and you make another one. Some you just used and then they were disposed of. And so they were constantly working to make new body parts. Sounds weird. To make new body parts. And then you would just get ready for the next day and do it all over again. And then it was 2 hours to take it off. So,
jeez. I always think of on the original Planet of the Apes, they had teams working around the clock because all of the facial prosthetics were the type that you just mentioned that are thrown away. And sometimes they wouldn't even last throughout the day. And so
in the heat. We found that in the heat, if you were unlucky, like I avoided anything like food-wise with oil because I just didn't want any disdainful looks. Like the team are wonderful. They never would have like been like, they were like, eat what you want. But you can see they're like, eat what you want. It's fine.
Right.
The fear. They're like, oh, she's gone for the carbonara.
Right.
No, I'd always
not a lot of
try
curries,
think,
I imagine.
like what's gonna maybe make it harder to reapply this after lunch. But you just try and work through it. The heat was the major thing because you're sweating and it doesn't breathe. So the sweat only stays there. Not a lot of curries. I'm used to being in suits. I'm used to being in full body puppetry. So it was okay for me. You just breathe through it. You know it's going to get hot. And you know if there's anything wrong or an emergency happens, you just have to trust that it will just take 15 minutes, 20 minutes for people to quickly give you some assistance to get to the problem. So as long as you don't panic, you'll be fine.
Yeah. As people who like movies, right? When we talk about applying the effects, a lot of the time when we're introduced to this idea, it's through like a time-lapse video. It's like, hey, watch Dave Bautista transform into Drax in 30 seconds, right? And then you'll hear them say, oh, it takes 6 hours. And we say, wow. But you can't really, there's something about time that you just can't replace the experience of time and how long 4 hours every day actually is, and then 2 hours.
And also if the call time for, the start of filming is 8 o'clock in the morning, you're actually up at 1 o'clock.
Right.
Because you have to get there to also get everything prepped and make sure that you get the makeup on in time and be ready for if they choose to call you for 8. They may not call you for 8. They may call you for 11 or 12. But you have to be ready because you can't rush that kind of thing.
Right.
But then the other thing I also found is I never complained about what time I was up because I knew that Charlie, who was in charge of the SFX, he had to be up an hour before me because he had to get to the actual trailer and set everything up before I even arrived. So there was no point me complaining. That's like, you don't complain. You don't complain when you visit someone in hospital that you've got a cold. Right. You don't do that. You're like, oh, I'm good.
That's right. Yes.
But yeah, he was amazing. He was always up an hour before us, making sure everything was set and then applying the makeup and being there every day. Like I'd have the team with me in my tent in the heat, just making sure I was okay every shoot day.
Wow. How many filming days did you have?
I'm trying to remember. It was about 5 weeks.
Okay.
5 weeks, and then we'd have a break in between. So I was there for about 2 months, but we'd have about 5 weeks, and then you'd break it up. You do 2 weeks and then break it up to give you a break because there's a lot of stuff going on your skin and there's a lot of physicality involved. So you do need some rest time.
Yeah. So does this begin to seep into like your dreams? Are you having a dream that 5 people are around you ripping your body parts off?
I'm having a dream about radioactive birds. Yeah, that was one of the best creations I ever saw, and I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but if you see the film, it's one of my favorite characters in it. No, I didn't get any dreams. I came home and went, back to real life.
Yeah,
that's annoying. And then as you said, didn't hear anything until 2023, and it was screened. It was like, great, it's going to come out. This was during COVID as well, so we had that whole experience of filming, but it wasn't social distancing, but you couldn't travel. You couldn't bring your family over. It was very much, you were contained there for 3 days.
Yeah.
So you come back and then it's like, no dreams about it, but just very much fond memories. And I did take my partner to Bulgaria the following year because I enjoyed being there so much.
Good.
So, and stayed at the same hotel and was like, let's do this. Let's spend a week here.
So you get to work with Macon Blair, who is the number one reason that I was interested in this when it was announced. I love Trauma. Grew up watching Trauma. Trauma's whole ethos is extremely close to what I think filmmaking should be. I guess I'll say it that way.
Yep.
Or I guess what it can be. Let's not put other people down, right? But
yeah.
So when I heard, they're making a new Toxic Avenger, I'm not like, oh, hooray. But when I heard Macon Blair is helming this. Very excited.
That's
He's
been echoed by a few people. I think when you say Macon's at the helm, I think a lot of people kind of not breathed a sigh of relief, but went, "Okay, I'm listening."
yes, correct. Um, I have seen shorts of his that like don't exist anymore. One, if anyone
Oh, yeah.
listening ever has a chance to find the Anger Eater, incredible short that he made, two-hander, really great. Anyway, love Macon Blair.
Okay, I'm gonna look.
He's obviously a very talented actor, also writer and director. And so for you, you are 4 hours in a chair. You are hot. You are in Bulgaria. How is he directing a performance like this?
The same as all the other actors, like very open, very collaborative, very, I would say, caring as well. Like he was always very much like, "Are you okay? Do you need water? Are you good to do this again?" Like there was a lot of running scenes at once at night, and he was like, "Are you good?" And I'm like, "I'm good." And he was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I'm sure." Like, when you don't want to admit that actually you've probably got another three in you, and that's kind of it.
Right,
But
right.
he was very open. He did the same to me that he did to Elijah. He'd be like, "Okay," like so, like, and even like Taylor would stop at one point and go, "Didn't quite connect to that. Can we do that again?" He'd be like, "Sure." And I was like, and then I sheepishly put up my hand, going, "I don't think I was quite happy with that." He was like, "Sure, let's go again." I was like, "Oh wow, okay, we're all on the same page. We're all making the same film."
Yeah, yeah,
It's not like, "No, you're in the suit. We'll just deal with it. We'll fix it in post." It was, "You're also a creative on this. Let's get your opinion. We're all collabing." I started the process collaboratively with Peter. Technically,
right.
I'm there to be Peter's, like Peter being Winston and Winston's soul.
Yeah,
So it was so wonderful to have that freedom to be the actor behind the choices that another actor has made.
yeah,
I suppose if I was thinking of a metaphor, it was kind of like a sandwich where you're the filling, but either side of you, you've got your choices as an actor, but then also Peter's choices as an actor, and they all have to work together.
yeah.
And Macon was just very giving. I don't like blowing smoke up people either, but he really was. He's one of the best directors I've ever worked with because he was just one every morning was like, "Hey, bud, how are you?" And I was like, "I'm in love with this welcome. Thank you." And then it was, let's work. We're all peers. We're making the same thing. I have the vision. But if you have anything you need to ask, if you want to adjust anything, let's talk about it. Let's work it through. And as an actor, I think you would always appreciate that. You feel like you have the freedom to basically say, "I want to be proud of this too."
It's an interesting to pair that experience with the experience of Winston in the film, where when we start with
Yeah.
him, it's a different take from the original Toxie. Obviously, we have
Yeah.
the role of a parent is introduced, where Winston isn't so much like a really nerd loser, but he is a coward.
I mean, almost seen as a loser through his son's eyes,
Right.
in a way. His son has the bravery that he hasn't acted on yet because he wants his dad to show the example of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
He's not this nerdy, you know, guy who just is being chatted up but he's basically being, what's the word I'm looking for? Duped into
Yeah.
feeling like these beautiful women want him and then being harassed by, what's called a jock system.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
not that kind of vibe. It's got, as it's been said in other reviews, it's got a bit more heart, which is true,
Yeah.
but he's this janitor who's just keeps coming down on his luck, and the world around him doesn't seem to, support any type of positive bubble around him. It's just,
Yeah.
I suppose sometimes we can all feel like that. We're just existing in this thing we can't change or we shouldn't change. I hear a lot, "Oh, don't get involved.
Right. Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
get involved."
Yeah.
Save yourself almost, or not even, just don't get involved, nothing to do with you, not your business.
Yep.
But then people complain about it afterwards.
Right.
And I got that sense reading the script, that whole, just do your life, get up, have food, do it over and over again, and then one day you'll die. That's all we can
Right.
do. You know?
Thank goodness. Right.
Yeah. What do I? Yay.
Yeah. So in the film, Winston, when he undergoes this transformation, it's being in this other skin where he's kind of able to operate in a place of kind of like what you were just saying, like, you know, raising your hand and being like, well, what if we did this? Or
yeah. But I loved when I read it, I loved how he didn't automatically become a superhero.
Mhm.
I loved how his personality didn't get changed because he mutated. Like physically he mutated, but he's still Winston.
Right.
He's still like he doesn't know how to move in this new body. He feels more out of joint like now because he's in a body he doesn't recognize, in a world he does recognize, but it doesn't want to recognize. And I loved the fact that he's in this body and he doesn't realize immediately, oh, I can take out these bad guys. Oh, I'm amazing. I'm a hero now. He's apologetic. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't want to hurt you.
Right.
And these guys are absolute, you know, I can't say the word because I don't know where this is going to be shown, but they're diatribes of humanity. They're assholes, absolute assholes. You know, the putrescence of the world, and he still has this humanity about him where he's so horrified by his ability to do bad that he doesn't know what to do with it. Whereas we get a lot of this kind of, you know, this mold of someone becomes a superhero and immediately overnight they're fighting crime and they're so confident. He is more of a this take on it is more of that thing of going, he has to find out where his heroism is and where it's placed. Like, is it heroism or is it revenge? And in which case, has he now been given the permission to seek revenge?
Right.
And why is it okay in one way and not okay in another?
Right.
You know, it was real, I suppose. Yeah. At risk of sounding really poncy, it was just real.
It's okay.
This person just changed physically and had this superhero strength, but was still this person in there, you know?
Right. So I wanted to ask you quickly, this is not the only time that you have been a part of a Peter Dinklage performance?
Yeah, I have joked with my friends that he keeps giving me work. I'm like, thank you. The Dinklage keeps giving me work.
How did that come about?
That was a new one. That was Wicked.
Yes.
That was pure coincidence, and it was a wonderful coincidence. I don't even know what he must have thought, because he would have been like, hang on a minute, I know her. Wait a minute. I know her. I've seen her before. Like, I watched it. So it must have been one of those things where with Toxie, I was watching him and then taking on his performance. And then with Wicked, I did auditions, and then apparently I am the perfect size for a goat when I'm on all fours.
There you go.
I am the goat. If anyone's filming and need a goat, I'm your go-to goat. So I played a goat in the West End, played Captain Corelli's mandolin. It was in London West End. Got really good reviews of that. And then literally, I think 2 jobs after, was seen for Wicked to play Dr. Dillamond, and then played the goat in that. I was like, I feel my jobs are getting a bit goat-like here.
You know what? Everybody
and then
has
found
to
out
have
he
a
was
thing.
doing the voice, and it was one of those moments where I just kind of went, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Peter Dinklage is doing the voice again for a character that I've done the movement for. I mean, I'm open. Like, I will happily keep doing, you know, roles where Peter's involved. I'll make it part of my rider. I'm like,
That's
okay,
right.
I will only work if Peter Dinklage is involved somehow, because this seems to be a winning combination. So, but no, that was pure coincidence. I did the movement first. I worked on set. I was also puppeteering other bits with a puppetry team I was working with, which is amazing, led by Robin Guyver, who's done a lot with Star Wars and loads of things. His accolades are ridiculous. So a lot of puppetry with that. But yeah, the arm extensions and the goat work came hand in hand, and to the point where they didn't know who they were going to voice for that character. So luckily for me, I managed to get a hoodie from production, because they were like, we don't know who's going to do this. We have ideas, but would you like it? It's an extra large, because we didn't know. I was like, I'll take it.
Sure.
It's amazing. I get a Wicked hoodie. And then I found out it was Peter, and it's a wonderful coincidence where you're like, one of those moments where you smile to yourself and go, everyone's going to think that I phoned Peter and went, hey, do you think I could get this role?
Yeah.
But no, it was pure coincidence. And
Right.
he's great in it. And part 2 comes out, I think, in November this year. So I'll be very interested to see how the voice has gone on that, because Dr. Dillerman's just a great character as well.
Very cool. Very cool. So, you have worked on stage, you have done directing, you do motion capture for video games, voice acting, puppetry. You are a true, multi-hyphenate, as they say. But you're the kind that I like.
I always say jack of all trades, master of some.
So what do you, are you able to share with us what you're doing next, what you're looking to move into out of all of your hyphenates?
I can share a bit. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people might relate with this, but I do have 2 children, a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old. So they keep me quite busy at the moment.
Very good.
But I am doing something for a Netflix series, which will be coming out this year and then next year as well, 2 seasons.
Very cool.
And always I've been trying to work on a one-woman show, which is based on my mother, who I've affectionately referenced as part of this podcast. It's called Mother Teresa because she's Teresa and she's my mother. But empathy is lacking. So I thought, what a great show. But yes, literally it's the hustle, it's keeping going in family life, and the Netflix thing. And then you always have your eye open like a magpie for the next shiny thing that might be coming, and then you have to be in the mix with everyone else, and luck. Invariably, you're very lucky to just get things.
Right. Well, Luisa, thank you so much for joining me. This was really awesome. And again, not to continue to hype you up, but fantastic performance. Really great performance.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I do.
Thank you so much to Luisa, who, as you just heard, was a total blast to speak with. You can check out more of her work at her website, luisaguerreiro.co.uk, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. The Toxic Avenger is in theaters now. Go see it. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Theme music by Jean Marie Vargas. Visit us at our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and please subscribe and rate our show wherever you are listening. You can support Movie Friends at patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Thanks for listening.